Hello, everyone. Welcome to another weekly teardown. This week, we are looking at Nguyen Coffee Supply. I'm a super heavy coffee drinker, so this is pretty exciting for me. These guys have a very interesting story, a very nice mission. Apparently, Vietnam is the main producer of Robusta coffee, which is very strong. And these guys were the first to import that into the US, I think, and roast the coffee in Brooklyn. So it's a very interesting company, but let's take a look at what they're doing on their website, right? So we have our usual model here. You can find the link to the article and guide on this model in the description below. And as we can see, they could do a bit better as far as the website goes. We have our three main areas in the user experience. So empathize and guide, which in short, it's basically understanding what visitors need to see to empathize with us and move forward along the process. Then we have clarify and sway, where we walk them through our value, our product offering, and in a way, we start persuading them before the checkout. And then we have shield and lead, where it's the whole process of making it as easy as possible for them to add products to cart or sign up or check out. So it's all about being as straightforward and clear as possible while also making it easier for them to trust you. So we can see that they could do much better probably in the first two areas, while the final area, so the whole checkout, shield and lead experience, seems to work pretty well. Let's see specifically each area one by one. All right, so empathize and guide. Value proposition could position the brand and mission. All right, so this is something that I'm always debating, and I see a lot happening for e-commerce website, especially, right? So a lot of e-commerce website, what they do, it's basically they throw products at visitors as soon as they land on the homepage. So imagine that you're someone entering a physical shop, right? A physical store. What if salesperson or whoever just picked a box of products that threw them at you? What would you do, right? How would you even know what these guys do and how they do that differently? It's kind of the same for websites. Obviously, it depends on where the traffic is coming from. But just to err on the safe side, what I would do is always, at the very least, test homepage variant with the value proposition and another variant with the product offering a bit more upfront. In this case, these guys have a value proposition here, but it's a specific value for this new cold brew product. So either they are on a promotion or they just launched it. I'm just making assumptions here, but what I would test would be to use a value proposition that presents the whole business and brand in any case. And the interesting thing is that if we look at the FAQ, the only place where I was able to find information that's clear upfront about their value is here. Did you know? So we have very interesting information here. Vietnam is the second largest producer of coffee in the world. And then we have our coffee farm is certified organically in Vietnam, and Nguyen Coffee Supply is the first specialty Vietnamese coffee company in the United States, importing and roasting in Brooklyn. So this would be a very powerful value proposition. Nguyen Coffee Supply is founded, owned, and operated by first generation Vietnamese Americans. So all interesting, all very interesting points that are not leveraged, I think, at this point. So that would something that I would definitely test, a value proposition here centered on the uniqueness of the brand. And then the other thing, let's see. The other thing that I was looking at, homepage can feel disorienting. And that's because, as we can see here, after these logos, what they do is basically show you all these latest products to add to cart right away. So it's basically kind of shorter product pages, the above the fold of the product pages right away, which can feel disorienting, right? Especially on mobile. If we look at mobile here, you can see that if I just landed here, I see the value proposition. I would actually pick this up at the top here, even though the animation is quite nice. But you can see that I land here and makes me wonder, right? Is this a product page? Where am I? So maybe I click on the logo just to go back on the home page to be sure. And oh, I'm right back here. What's happening? Don't they have a home page? So you can start seeing how this can all feel disorienting in a way. But anyway, let's move on. All right. So all right. The other point, product search could be improved. So this is another very important aspect when it comes to guiding our visitors towards the final destination or buying the product. When we have a category page here, we can see they have filters. One thing that I notice is that filters don't work really well. For example, if I'm filtering for strongest coffee, right? I get here, okay, I see the products, great. What if I want to go back? Hmm? Oh, the X is here. I didn't see that, especially on mobile. Let's repeat the whole experience. First, they have these additional filters here, but might not be super clear. I would probably rather have tabs at the top here to help users filter better and actually see the filters. But let's say that I'm clicking on this one. Oh, it brings me up again. Do I go back? Oh, the X is here. So you can see that it's not super visible, not super accessible. Something that I would definitely try to improve. Even though we have to say that they don't have a ton of products, but it would still be nice to have an easier way. For example, if filters were in tabs here, it would be a bit clearer for the categories here. And in general, I will probably next to the images have the product title, product name, just to differentiate, especially because it's kind of hard to just look at the images, especially when you hover on them. And on mobile, yeah, you can see that they have it on mobile, so probably on desktop just doing the same thing would be slightly more efficient. All right, so as far as empathizing and guiding, these are probably the top points, top issues. Anything else looks pretty good. I actually like the branding and the photographs. The visuals are very nice, very professional. So that's really great. When it comes to clarifying and swaying, product page could do more selling. So that's a thing that I noticed. For example, let's take a normal coffee product page like this one, for example. All right, so as far as doing more selling, what I mean, first I would probably introduce a bit more, add more pictures here, more photos of the actual coffee. Makes me wonder, is this ground coffee? Is it beans? So not entirely sure until I get here, and you can see that they allow me to pick, but also doesn't change much. So show me an actual photo of the products. It could even be a photo of the manufacturing or production process. That would be really cool, especially to give me more context on how you actually produce the coffee and the story behind it. But in general, you can see that there's a brief description here, a couple bullet points, and then it just jumped into the reviews. Same thing for mobile. So what I would try to do would probably be try to be a bit more persuasive, create some kind of argument. I know that it's not a super expensive product, but the story behind the brand is very interesting, and they have a very powerful mission, so why not use that here on the product page, right? So include some of that, some of those interesting benefits, the points that you're trying to emphasize in your story. Just, it's persuasion doesn't always mean selling. It can also be about empathizing with your customers. If they're here, there must be a reason. They must have resonated with you, maybe in your ads or something. So just keeping that consistency in your messaging throughout would definitely help. Let's take a look at another one. Education pages are not optimized for desktop. And this is something that we can see pretty clearly when we look at, for example, our story here. On mobile, it looks great. Let me close this for a second. You can see that on mobile it looks very good, easy to read. The photographs are nice. And I suspect that the guys optimize their mobile experience, probably because most of their traffic comes from mobile. That's what I hope. But if we look at the desktop version, we can see that images are very big. I'd rather have them smaller and allow users to click on them to zoom. Text is very, very wide and small, so we definitely reduce the width of the page to make everything easier to read on desktop. And in general, why limit yourself to calls to action at the end, right? Provide some maybe buttons, maybe links to other information pages. There's this very cool page called Journey of a Coffee Bean. You could actually interlink to that one, which has kind of a bit of the same problem, even though the width is reduced. But this is what I meant by education page not optimized. In general, the website could use more social proof and videos. So for products, there are a lot of reviews for some of the products. So for example, 381, 48, some products not have reviews, but that's fine. 483, that's amazing. So why not use some of these reviews on the homepage, right? Some of these are excellent. The blend is very smooth and has a full body taste. My 30-year-old son, who is picky and on what he drinks, loves it enough. He became a customer also. Only issues are with shipping, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, like for example, this one is a great review that you could showcase on the homepage, for example. And also the other powerful low-hanging fruit, you have a lot of publications here I checked out on YouTube, and most of these videos are available. So why not use them here on the homepage or on our story page? Just showcase those videos. You can even link to them here from these logos, opening them up in a separate tab. In general, just could do a bit more work for users rather than having them do the work to prove some social proof, to authority, credibility, right? To boost some of that. Okay, so this is clarifying sway. Let's look at the final area. Checkout page feels disconnected. So this is a pretty straightforward thing that could just be quickly improved. But if, let's say, I'm adding product to cart, and by the way, the experience here is very good. I love it, especially when it comes to free shipping. You can see that if I add products, this goes up. This is very, unfortunately, this is covered now by this thing. But let's go to cart. I have to use desktop, but let's go to checkout. You can see that red is the hover color, and here the red is actually the primary color. So I would try to keep the same primary color here on the highlights and on the buttons, just to keep the whole experience consistent, and even on these kinds of texts here, just because this feels like a different website and experience. So just try to be a bit more consistent there. Shipping information not transparent. That's something that might be an issue from the product page. So when I get to a product page, say here, product page. All right, as mentioned before, as mentioned earlier, we might need a bit more information here, including the persuasive part, but also regarding shipping and taxes and so on, because the only moment when I actually learned more about that is here when I add to cart, where it says taxes and shipping calculated at checkout, right? So this might be a bit too late for users because they have to first pass the first conversion test here, which is the add to cart. And also there's a lot of information here in the FAQ again that you could use. Shipping internationally. One thing that I noticed, for example, was that it said that one product could only be shipped within the US, but actually here I see that that you guys ship in some other countries. So might need to specify that. How long does shipping take? So all of this is good information that you could just copy and paste on product pages. All right, so this is pretty much everything. The only other minor thing that I would probably improve is to make the FAQ a bit easier to access. So right now it's only within the about, which if I look at the mobile experience, it's not super visible. People would have to click here and then click the specific arrow here. Otherwise, they're taken on our story page. So that's kind of inconvenient. And they can see the FAQ. So 2 clicks, not great. A lot of people look for the FAQ as a standard first click or one of the first few clicks. And right now I have to do a lot of scrolling, and I cannot even find it in the footer menu. So either I would probably both add it to the footer menu here and make it easier to see, maybe have it right away here, FAQ as a standalone navigation. All right, so I hope that this was helpful, and see you next week, guys.